Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 9. My name is Saif, but coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Badiashile. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari orders security agencies to end crude oil theft by May 29. PDP pays Rivers government 95 million naira to use public venues. Plus, Putin orders ceasefire in Ukraine for Orthodox Christmas. Details of these stories and more in a moment. First in the news tonight, with Nigeria estimated to be losing about $4 billion annually to oil theft and pipeline vandalism, President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered security agencies deployed to the Niger Delta region to end the menace before he leaves office on May 29, 2023. The president gave the order while addressing troops of the Joint Task Force Operation Delta Safe in Efurun, Delta State, and Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Represented by the Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Timi Pre-Sylvia, the President said development federal government has released 13.89 billion naira for the payment of pensions of its workers who retired in 2022. The National Pension Commission (NPC) disclosed this in an advertorial. The National Pension Commission expressed pleasure in the service contributions of all its stakeholders, particularly retirees of Treasury-funded ministries, departments and agencies who retired in the year 2022. The Director General, National Pension Commission (NPC), Aisha Daher Umar, disclosed in her report on the pension industry for 2021 that the federal government paid a total of 980.18 billion naira to retirees of Treasury-funded ministries, departments and agencies from the inception of the contributory pension scheme in 2004 to December 2021. Elsewhere, Deputy Senate President Ovie Omoagege has disclosed that the Local Government Autonomy Bill is one of the biggest challenges facing the ongoing review of the 1999 Constitution and remains a priority to the legislative arm. Senator Omoagege, who is the chairman of the National Assembly Constitution Review Committee, disclosed this to State House correspondents today after a private meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari in his office. The lawmaker, rather than align with the positions of their state governors. Still on legislative matters, the chairman of the House Committee on Defense, Babajimi Benson, has said that the 2.74 trillion naira budgeted for security in the 2023 Appropriation Act is inadequate. He said the entire federal government budget, with estimates totaling 20.83 trillion naira, will be insignificant when converted to the United States dollar currency. Benson, who represents the Ikorodu Federal Constituency in Lagos budget system. To the judiciary now, where Justice Mariam Hassan of the Federal Capital Territory FCT High Court Garki has quashed the allegations of false assets declaration against the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), Professor Yakubu Mahmood. The court also barred the Department of State Security (DSS), the Police and Code of Conduct Bureau (CCB) from investigating him over his valid assets declaration. In an originating summons filed by one Somadina Uzamaka against the Attorney General of the Federation AGF and Yakubu, the claimant sought, among other things, and consideration of the various allegations against him by the various law enforcement agencies. The plaintiff also of 10 years. In his response to the allegation, Professor Yakubu gave the court several exhibits to show the sources of money for the purchase of the properties which the plaintiff alleged were illegally In a related development, Niger Delta youth, under the auspices of Niger Delta Youth Congress (NDYC), today held a federal high court judgment sitting in the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) Abuja, vindicating the chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), Professor Mahmood Yakubu, over false asset declaration. This was contained in a statement signed by the National Coordinator (NDYC), Comrade Israel Wejayan, where they described by Justice Hassan sends a strong message to security agencies that they must adhere to the rule of law and not overstep their bounds in their pursuit of investigations. In a judgment by Justice M.A. Hassan of the Federal High Court in the Federal Capital Territory Abuja, it found that the declaration of assets by Professor Yakubu was lawful, valid, and in compliance with the law, and that he cannot be investigated by any of the security agencies listed by the claimant, that should all investigate him. On electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has commenced online accreditation for journalists and media organizations wishing to cover the 2023 general elections. According to the flyer issued by INEC today in Abuja, interestedmediaorganizations.org, it stated that the portal would be accessible from today through Sunday, February 5. In a related development, residents of Delta State have lamented the poor distribution of permanent voter cards (PVCs) by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) as the deadline for collection draws near. Felix Omobolu, a resident who was present at the INEC office in Warri South local government area, noted that INEC workers had not resumed to distribute PVCs. He said he had been at the INEC office a number of times but had not been attended to. Omobolu opined that INEC is not line, it's fast running. In another development, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) Kaduna State Command says its operatives have arrested 4 suspects with 298 bags of Indian hemp. The NDLEA State Commander Ibrahim Braji made this known at a news conference in Kaduna, stating that the suspects were arrested on the evening of January 3 at Tasu Mahuta community on Refinery Road in the Chikun local government area of the state. He said that the 4 suspects were 2 females and 2 males. According to him, the bags of Indian hemp were way over 3,576 kilograms. He further said that the operatives are still investigating the matter to unravel other suspects for arrest and prosecution. He further said the command has expanded its operational structure in the state to curtail the influx and outflow of drugs. In a related development, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps today debunked a viral message via social media platforms of an aptitude test on January 8. This was contained in a statement signed by the spokesperson for the Corps, Olushola Odumosu. The Corps described the message as fake, misleading, and a calculated attempt by fraudsters to job scammers, enjoining job seekers to remain calm and patient for authentic updates and information on the recruitment process. Away from that, now, the Military Pensions Board says it has commenced the payment of the old security debarment allowance to eligible military retirees or next of kin of deceased military personnel. A security debarment allowance is the money paid to retired military personnel to discourage them from using the skills they acquired while in service against the government. Over 90,000 military retirees who retired before 2017 were originally not among those to benefit from the allowance. According to reports, the reason for their exclusion, according to the Minister of Defense, Major General, to the allowance. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit (NFIU) has banned cash withdrawals from accounts belonging to the federal government, all its agencies, and also state and local governments. This, the NFIU said, will take effect from March 1, 2023, adding that any government official that withdraws cash from public accounts risks investigation from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, and the Nigeria Police Force in collaboration with the NFIU, depending on the gravity of the situation. Addressing journalists in Abuja today, the NFIU CEO Modibo Tukara said the ban was necessary to curb the rate at which monies are withdrawn from public accounts in flagrant disregard to the money laundering laws and sometimes for corruption purposes. He noted that the decision was in sync with the full transition of Nigeria into a cashless economy, which the Central Bank of Nigeria has been leading. Now in political campaigns ahead of the elections. According to the Chairman, Publicity and Communications Committee of Rivers PDP Campaign Council, Obunna Nwuke, the payment acknowledged in a letter of approval by the Commissioner for Education, Professor Chinedum Mom, was in compliance with the precautionary requirement of 5 million naira per public venue stipulated in Governor Nyesom Wike's Executive Order 21. Meanwhile, Mom has acknowledged receipt of the deposit of 95 million naira into the state government's account, being the required precautionary deposit for the use of the indicated public schools facilities in Rivers State. So in politics, the presidential candidate of the main opposition People's Democratic Party (PDP), Atiku Abubakar, has rescheduled his visit to Abia for Tuesday, January 10, has now been moved forward to Monday, January 9. The release signed by the Director of Media and Publicity Atiku Okowa Presidential Council, Abia State, Kingsley Maguire, did not give reasons for the change in date, but simply apologized for any inconveniences it might cause Atiku's supporters and party faithful. Elsewhere, Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State and his Benue State counterpart Samuel Otom today said their alliance with the People's Democratic Party (PDP), known as the G5 or the Integrity Group, remained united. The two governors also said the G5 will soon announce its preferred choice of presidential candidate for the February 25 election in Nigeria. Wike and Governor Seyi Makinde, Otom, Wike are members of the PDP G5 alongside Okezie Ikpeazu of Abia and Ifeanyi Ugwanyi of Enugu. Wike, Otom, Ugwanyi and Ikpeazu took turns to address the crowd of PDP supporters, persuading them to vote Makinde, whom they described as the youth leader of the G5 for second term in office. Meanwhile, Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State has approved the appointment of Dr. Ajibola Sikiru Adetona as the rector Oke Ogun Oluba Miwo Adeosun and made available to newsmen, and stated that the tenure shall be 5 years in accordance with the terms and conditions of the office and status, as spelled out in the relevant laws of the institution. The governor, through the SSG, congratulated the new rector and also urged him to discharge his duties with absolute loyalty, dedication, and professionalism towards ensuring the enhancement of the institution's current status. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Demi Manuel has expressed satisfaction at the pace of work and quality of facilities put in place for the full take-up of the Dakota Skills Development Center at Ikorodidem, Ibionibom local government area of the state. The governor, who stated this, said that the center has been designed to train people of the state, especially the youths, on entrepreneurial skills. Governor Emmanuel said the center will provide skilled manpower to all sectors of the economy, as well as agricultural produce, in ensuring food security in the country. The governor also said that the state government is open to partnerships with the federal government and the private sector to ensure full maximization of the facility. In the meantime, Akwa Ibom State Governor And the state leader of the People's Democratic Party PDP, Udom Emmanuel, has called on the party executive committee members and supporters to remain resolute in their support towards the success of the party at all levels in the forthcoming elections. Udom Emmanuel made the call during the New Year visit to the state chapter of the party at the party's secretariat complex at Atano Fort, Uyo. The governor, who appreciated members of the party for their steadfastness, commended their loyalty to the party, urging them to work for the success of the candidates of the party during the general elections. The state party leader further pledged to support the party beyond his administration and emphasized on the need to be dedicated towards the return of PDP to the center of government in order to attract developments to the state. Away from that, the management of Taft Media Group operators of Planet 101.1 FM, Tangsio 102.7 FM, and Spectrum Television has announced that one of its franchise, Spectrum TV, is now transmitting on Startimes DTH channel 421 and on free-to-air frequency 12578, symbol rate 3500. Recall that the first privately owned TV station in the Aqua Cross region, which commenced transmission on November 1, 2021, and was officially commissioned by Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel on January 31, 2022, was before now transmitting on Startimes Channel 136. However, a statement by Taft Media Group management announces the new transmission details of the TV station to be on Startimes DTH channel 421 and on free-to-air frequency 12578, symbol rate 3500. Taft Media Group thus urged its teeming audience to hook up to the station on the updated frequencies, while promising to continue keeping the outfit's esteemed fans updated on fresh developments as regards new mediums implemented by the media group in giving its viewers and listeners quality broadcasting. The statement further noted that Spectrum TV, also the first privately owned TV station in the Aqua Cross region, promises to be a one-of-a-kind and affording them an all-new unique option for information dissemination. Still to come in the news. Price pressures in Europe ease. Do stay with us.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, telling the African story.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian. From issues on politics,
hello Nigeria, I remain committed.
Security, education, health, lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyeken every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
And thanks for staying tuned. We're moving now to Africa, where Kenyan President William Ruto has disclosed that he fired the former head of criminal investigations, George Kinoti, had resigned from service. Ruto told journalists that he was keen on ensuring there were no extrajudicial killings by the police. He said he had operate within the law, which he said included defending themselves from criminals. In another development, Kenya's President William Ruto has defended. The president criticized those who were against the lifting of the ban on such products, saying he was a scientist and was confident the genetically modified food posed no harm. He said he had himself consumed a big indictment on them as leaders, that people were sleeping hungry decades after independence. The president was speaking to journalists at State House in his first major disowned Facebook and Instagram pages operating under its name after controversy arose over why it was using social media platforms it had restricted to its citizens, meddling in the country's affairs. Reports say the Facebook and Instagram pages purporting to be official government sites have a blue badge, which indicates they have been verified by Facebook. Away from that now, the rebel group M23 has announced its withdrawal from a strategic military base that it captured in October 2022 in the Rumangabo area in Eastern Democratic. Hand over the camp today to the East African Regional Force. It follows their announcement last month of plans to withdraw from captured territories as a goodwill gesture, in line with the agreements of a regional leaders summit in the Angolan capital Luanda in November. Reports say residents since its offensive began last June. The handover of the Rumangabo military camp comes 12 days after the rebels withdrew from Kibumba town. Meanwhile, a UN report leaked last month said the Rwandan government accusations. Elsewhere, South Africa's KwaZulu-Natal province is on high alert after a warning from the weather services that suggests large parts of KZN can expect disruptive rainfall, which brings the probability of widespread flooding today and tomorrow. Recall that last year, the province, meanwhile, authorities have since issued flood safety advice, including telling people to avoid crossing low-lying bridges and to take care when driving. To Zambia now, where President Hakainde Hichilema is disappointed with the 12-hour power blackouts the country is experiencing. Zambia's power utility Z levels in the Kariba Dam, which is used for hydropower. The company said the removal of 150 megawatts generator of Mamba Colliery's power plant for routine annual maintenance from 4 to 20 January had exacerbated the situation. The presidential spokesperson Anthony Boalia says Hichilema is disappointed that Zambians were experiencing power blackouts. Meanwhile, Egyptian authorities have confirmed the tumbling of the pound in its largest single-day slide since the cash-strapped government agreed to a $3 billion International Monetary Fund (IMF) deal in mid-December. Against the dollar, this happened 3 weeks after Egypt and the IMF formally ratified a support package approved in exchange for a number of economic reforms implemented by the country's central bank. The charity, the coronavirus pandemic and war fallouts from Ukraine, experienced by the Egyptian economy. The country still remains the world's largest wheat importer. On the foreign scene, Russian President Vladimir Putin has instructed the Russian defense minister to cease fire in Ukraine over Orthodox Christmas. The announcement comes after Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan told Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky in a phone call today that Ankara was ready to take on mediation and moderation duties to secure a lasting diplomatic support regarding the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. Still on the foreign scene, Lebanon's military tribunal today charged 7 suspects in last month's attack that killed an Irish peacekeeper when a group of armed local residents ambushed his convoy and opened support for the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah, which has denied down Cunningham Island and seriously wounded Shane Kearney, 22. The wounded peacekeeper was medically evacuated. For the latest business and stock market stories, we have Blyden Ukem standing by.
Thank you, Xavier Roberts. Good evening. Has eased. The annual inflation rate in Italy fell to 11.6% in December from 11.8% in each of its previous 2 months, in line with market expectations, a preliminary estimate showed. Also, data released early in the week as costs fell more than 50%. In Ukraine, GDP contracts 30% in 2022. The economy of Ukraine shrank by 30.4% in 2022 compared to the It is the biggest contraction since independence in 1991 due to the large-scale invasion by Russia in February 2022. In Nigeria, Nigerian companies, discos in Nigeria have quietly increased tariffs by as much as 18.5%. The new tariff was effected from December 1st, 2022, leaving customers worried and confused. To postpaid consumers. The Magado Resident Association, MRA, sent a message a few days ago to its members notifying them of an increase of over 17% in tariff. Still in line with terror attacks. The revenue generated by the Nigerian Railway Service fell significantly in the second quarter of 2022 amid rise in its debt service to loans obtained, according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics (NBS) in its rail transportation reports. The railway service was set following terrorist attack on the Abuja-Kaduna train on March 28, 2022, that killed 8 passengers and led to kidnapping of 168 passengers in ticket sales, resulting in the railway service generating 734.47 million naira in the second quarter of last year, which was a 66.73% drop when compared to the 2.21 billion naira revenue in the first quarter. It's time for the Nigerian stock market report. Regarding the performance of market indices, the benchmark Oshe index declined 789.04 basis points, a negative 1.87%, a 4-week gain of 5.38%, but an overall year-to-year debt loss of 0.75%. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 27.7 trillion naira. But when compared to the previous trading day, today in deals. In aggregate, 111 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 20 gainers and 16 losers. John Holt led the gainers with 10% share price appreciation, closing at 88 appreciation of 8.7% at 42 kobo per share. This is all on business news. I'm back to Xavier Roberts for the rest of the news.
Thanks, Blyden. Still to come in the news. Imara Kanu retires in tears with ankle injury 11 days before Australian Open. Do stay with us.